Good day. Much love to you. I had remembered something from yesterday, some notes that I didn't put in because I was rushing a little bit and it was running a little long again. So it's Thursday and I've been thinking about Wednesday's wandering. It's kind of funny. Thinking about, the part that was imperative about the technology and shadows. This was important yesterday. From yesterday, it was left out. Now, we've heard about the truthers being under attack, seen certain ones in the limelight, and it's been a topic. Then I was looking at some of the shows that I enjoy watching instead of a movie. Sometimes when you can't have the conversation in person, it's helpful to listen like you're listening to me. So some of the sources I get my information from regarding gang stalking and some of the government's tactics are really imperative. Okay? One of the guys that show up on the show that I like the Kevin Baker show. And I like this guy, Anthony Patch, that shows up because his information is pristine. Also, Eric Carl Storm. Now, the truthers have been under attack. Also, I heard Camelot, Project Camelot, is starting to take some hits. Now, I don't know how valid this information is, but what it made me think about is that as citizens, we allow our society to parent us. You've heard me say this before. We go to certain institutions in order for them to mentor to us, to mend us, to bring us back spiritually or mentally. So we go to the psychologist, we go to the doctors, we go to church, we go to the therapist, right? We trust our institutions that we pay into in order to become one of the representatives and get our associates, our masters, our doctorates, to ensure that we have a license, a place in society. To be able to give back and teach someone else, to be able to make it lucrative, somehow that gets messed up. Okay, so the point I'm making is that we have designated spots that we go to receive information. And they are supposed to be our representatives in a way that it's mutually beneficial. We don't expect them to have something up their sleeve and be hurting us. But while being conscious, while waking up, we can't very well pay attention to one side, all the flowers and rainbows and fluffy stuff that we're going to do, without also acknowledging that there are people there with things up their sleeve that have been using these systems and knowledge for quite a long time. So we're behind schedule. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know anything at all. And so it's a gift from our Creator to ground us, to be able to show us who we are. But the greatest gifts I find are coming from deep within, have nothing to do with what's already documented as much as those things that are documented, allowing us to make room for what is to come and what is coming to us, what is awakening from within us. That being said, with these other institutions under fire, these other points of reference, because see, these places in society, they back up each other. They reference each other. Like human services, I can actually go back and record, document, use references, sound references. Those are sources, academic sources that have been included by teachers and other people with masters and doctorates and associates to include that information to reinforce something that someone else said or did. They were all making a point, and so they were able to use that scholastic information to reinforce whatever it was that they were trying to say and do. They were taught to do that in college. So our whole system, point I'm making, something is wrong with you physically, automatically you have health insurance, that reinforces that you're supposed to go to the doctor. You have friends, and everybody will tell you probably that you should go to the doctors, because we don't know. We weren't educated. For the most part, most of us don't know. We were not educated in health. So it would be the most typical, logical thing to assume that you just bring your butt to the doctors, right? Go to the clinic. That's what everybody does. What's wrong with you? And the reason why we think like that is because our system, our whole mentality is reinforcing that that's what you do. And so when you go to school and we get our doctorates and associates and our masters, when we read that material that's reinforced by other material, that starts the embedding, that assures us, gives us the S for whatever talents and abilities and that we create, or that we're outsourcing, that we decide to partake in, right? So we go and we get ourselves a career, we show our talents, we do our thing, and this is reinforced by society saying we need this, we want this, this is normal. We're looking for this, we're looking for more of this. And so they steer our minds to be able to look for more of this. Every Valentine's Day, we're looking for more of the same kind of thing. We're looking, so we're going to continue. We're brought up to continue to look for these sources and no other. So when alternative media comes along, okay, Phil Valentine, Francis Scott Westling, Dr. Sabi, Bobby Hemmett. When alternative media comes along, people who are talking about sciences and alternative medicines and things like that, it's not fitting the piece in the puzzle. It's not grooving with mainstream's agenda, because mainstream's agenda is to keep us ignorant, or to keep us fixated, to keep us feeling safe, to keep us feeling that that's the norm, right? We want so much to be normal, to do other things. And so when somebody says, I have an alternative opinion, we shoot them out of there like a cannon. If anybody's behaving differently than we're used to, they got to get to step in, because this is our environment. But it's not really our environment. We're just reinforcing an environment, a state of mind that was already given to us. I am an alternative source. I put it in writing. That's another, because of our society and the writing. See, melanated folks in our ancestral part, the ancestral part of many people is storytelling. Because it's just our essence. We weren't trying to make a living out of it. We were sharing information, and spiritual insights and things that needed to be passed on to one another. It was just a part of us until somebody put up a gate and a fence and said, this is mine and that's yours. And because this is mine and that's yours, I'm able to manipulate the resources that you need, your housing and your food and your water, and then where you get what you fill your vessel up with, you don't even realize you're filling up your vessel. So yeah, I have an alternative. Okay, I got kind of like the Ark of the Covenant, I got a vast amount of knowledge, tools, and abilities, and you don't even realize that you don't have anything because you think that you're getting freebies. You think that you're being taken care of. But I'm actually just putting you exactly where I want you to be at, so you do what I told you to do. In the same way a parent has a mental advantage over a child. Technology. Being mindful of the pole. There's a difference between mind-wide reservation or mind reservation, which is the art of lying that the a Luciferian agenda takes part in, or mindful communication, which is another portion that our culture can take part in. And both of them are open to anybody, both techniques, both tactics. Being mindful, self-reflective, and pulling out the gunk and making self personally responsible. Like, why is these things the way they are? Is because as a collective, that consciousness is like a weight. That is the measurement. So if we're all agreeing on something, or agreeing to look away and pretend that something isn't there, it's still a cosine. It's still measured like the way that we treat each other. Like, even though I know something doesn't fit right with me, I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway because that's the norm, because I was told to. I had this joke, right? I die, or a woman dies, and she goes to heaven, so-called heaven. She's talking to God, so-called God. And she says to the Creator, he says, so what have you done for me? And what, I'm saying, where's your stuff at? Your talents and your creators. Or I'm thinking about the story in the Bible about the talents. And she basically took hers and buried it because her husband was authority. He was the head. She fell for the technology. Or actually, she just caved under pressure because that's just the way it is. She says to him, my husband said he's got it. I was told I was covered under him because I'm a woman. And God just starts laughing. Just starts laughing. That has nothing, what kind of nonsense you fell for here has nothing to do with what's going to pop off there. Right? Once we wake up, covered under grace, but once we know. Once information hits the four corners of the globe, once we sound off and with our fire and water tongue, with our double blade, we speak the truth across the globe with our sound wave, with our intention. If something is not lining up with that, with the grace, if something is not lining up with the will, the law of the land, Allah, with the Creator, and we call the Creator many different words to create our world, to give us this concept. But if God lived through us, or we're the representatives of a higher authority, of spirituality, in the same way that the church is supposed to be breeding people that are supposed to be the representative of the church, is the representative of God, supposedly. We're still supposed to emulate that, right? Supposed to be walking around with some good stuff. So where is it? So historical reference paints pictures in our minds you know? In our minds, we're amazed. Our minds is amazed in this world. So we could spin around in a spiral. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing, right? Expecting different results. So when you hold people's minds fixated in a certain frame, but they cannot advance and there's no new information included, when you reject alternative information, when you got fake news, how do you trump that? How do we get around that? There is a direct attack on us collaborating with each other, on us getting together, on us doing talk therapy, on us mulling it over, on us removing the breaches in the walls and the confines of our minds. Spiritually, mentally, as above, so below, as within, so without. There is a war in heaven. There was a war in heaven. There's a movement going on. There still is. So the energy is moving. Society is reinforced. Society is made and reinforced by what we are collaborating. That's how stupid crap can fly. Because sometimes we just get stupid. We're in ages where of darkness, where we just do stupid stuff. We twist stuff around and call it the age of enlightenment, but we don't know anything. We're still blind, deaf and dumb. And we want to stay that way. They allow us to want to stay that way because they use our energies against one another, so we don't want anybody else to get ahead. We're so fixated and geared toward feeding the monsters. 7 deadly sins. We want to catch up with the Joneses. We want to have things. We want to look the part, but we don't want to do the work. This is the microwave age. We want to look the part. We don't want to do the work. We don't want to cook the meal and chop things up and take hours to cook that joint. Give me a TV dinner, a hungry man, a microwave, right? Instant. Teleport it in. We can, a food simulator. We can't wait for the food simulator. Have you tasted what's going on with the food now? Ugh. Okay, so the essence, our essence, makes me think of the Essenes and that lineage. Shadows. Stolen legacy. What's in the dark does matter. It's still there. Energy never dies, it only transfers. And some people are profiting off of things that others can't see. Okay, so I was thinking this, right? Like I'm out here. This is about synthetic. Now, if it doesn't matter, if GMOs are good, if it doesn't matter being copied and it's all the same and it has spirit and it holds the same amount of essence, if there's nothing to worry about, something as simple as me sitting out here looking at the light right now. If I go inside and I'm looking at the bulb in the kitchen and the light is on, I can't see. I cannot see in that artificial light. It's totally different light. It's a totally different light. If you grow a real vegetable from a seed and that seed can make other vegetables, there's no breaks in that DNA strand. But if you take a seed and you say that that seed is not allowed to make any other seed so that you can profit from it, that seed is corrupt and it's missing portions within its DNA sequencing strand, reminding us that why is our brain only partially able to be used? So that tells us within our essence, we like messing with stuff. It's already there. Just like our ancient parts of ourselves are waking up. It tells us we already like messing with stuff. There's already genetic tampering. It's part of our earth history. If light is light, why is it different between this light and that light? How come I can see in this light up to a certain point? I could train myself to look into the light and stuff like that. You know, when you do sun gazing and stuff and grounding, you learn to take in a portion of light so that you can actually still see it. At first you can't see, but you can make an adjustment. But I haven't found that I can make that same adjustment with artificial light. With a light bulb, it does not mean the same. Totally different. Yet that light is emulating this light, and it's efficient, it's beneficial, it has a place. But then again, we need to watch that, because artificial light, too much of it, can also take a toll on your pineal gland, along with the fluoride. Brushing your teeth is good, but not with fluoride in it. Fluoride is good if it's a crystal, but not if you're eating it or if it's in an atomic bomb. These are things, stolen legacies, little pieces of information and morsels that are not in the mainstream, that are being blocked by people who can capitalize. That's the part that I meant to say on Wandering Wednesdays, that I was thinking about on Thursday. Go figure. Okay, so I think I really needed to say that, because we need to watch out for the okie doke. Yeah, so we need our historical references, and now that we're supposedly woke, it will help us to start acting like it and not be competing so much as realizing the power of collaboration and protecting our spaces where we reinforce each other. How they be profiting. I wrote this little note when I was thinking about how there's a lot of so-called woke artists now. Yeah, there's a lot of artists that are woke now. Now, some of them, they were always using occult symbolism and these knowledges embedded in the things that they were feeding to us. But now all of a sudden they want to tell us the person is woke and make an announcement of it. But what about prior to, when this knowledge was being used without us knowing it? It was always there. So what's woke? You making the announcement that it's okay for us to know that you're using the ish? No. Is that what makes us woke? That we're accepting the announcement, that we're allowed to see it? Oh, we've been using this all along. We're woke now. Yep, we're doing it again. Matter of fact, now that you know that we're doing it, we can capitalize on it, because you seem to like knowing it's there. Not that you're doing ish about it. Nothing is changing. There's an increase in it. We're basking and being beat over the head with stuff that we were supposed to know. We're being victims. It kind of reminds me of, I had a vision in my mind of the way they do it is, you see a clip of an old man, and he's standing there and he looks fragile. Then you see a clip of an old man. He's wearing a trench coat. You notice he's wearing a trench coat. Then you see him with close up to his eyes. Then you see him with his eyes shifty. You already know he's wearing a trench coat, and you have a past reference that you've been indoctrinated to on trench coats are for rain, trench coats are for... Then you see him open the trench coat. Uh-oh, what is going on? So you're telling me basically they're making an announcement that they've been the Flasher all along. When I think of the Disney cartoons and stuff like that. It's an art of war. It's a mental strategy to beat us before we even get there. But the thing that they did forget is that one of one of my mentors, teachers said, at the end of the day, the pieces all go back into the same box. We all return into the earth. And I mentioned certain things that we all have in common that we're sharing. We're being played horribly. The only people really benefiting are the people with the 1% and the strings that have allowed us to believe and saturate our world so much in capitalism and corpus, dead inside, following after things, after trinkets, after shiny stuff, while being shanked in a whole nother direction. So we're missing out desperately. Desperately. And that's part of the technology, is getting us to fall for it, to believe that that stuff is valuable instead of what we have. Let me see if I can... see. Anybody want to come in? Anybody want to share? Okay, I can't see anybody. I'm learning to ask you questions and to reach out and talk. Yeah, so this stuff, it came from when I was looking at myself and how am I fooling myself? Yes, my love. Yeah, I was asking myself, how am I fooling? How do I get off of this merry-go-round? How do I accept my opportunity to accept accountability? I mean, this is a really cool time when you realize what is going on, that spirit and our creator is actually living in us, waking up in us, that things are moving out of the way and that we don't have to co-sign so much. So if I want... Oh, that's what it was. Yes. A formula. Where is it? Is it? Where is it? Oh, things come in like a dream. They just like float in. Essence. If the whole thing is built on a lie, and we can't expect them to give us the truth or any kind of spiritual accountability. Not really. Like, fool me once, fool me twice. Because the whole thing is built on a lie. So the essence of it, what's inside the tube, is corrupt. Okay, so you can't get blood from a rock. They say. I don't know, these days they're making cucumber bananas. We don't know. It might be possible. Okay, so this was a formula. Essence, dark matter energy. Okay? Think of that You can have it. Oh, you can't have it if you don't want to give it. That's what they told me. And that is the answer to the riddle of be the help that you want to see. Unity, correspondence, and accountability. Right? Be the help that you want to see. You can't have it if you don't want to give it. Bingo. Right? Put the work in. Be it. By any means necessary. If it's not out there, make a venue for it in here, for it to blossom, a seed to be able to open up and have it be connected to the original essence and source, a truth. You know, the real part of our nature that's not connected to this systematic disenfranchisement, disempowerment. We are empowered. What we think does matter. What we feel about things and how we share things and how we interact, it does matter. It's a powerful tool. And by telling us that it isn't, that we don't matter, was taking the authority, the beauty, and the right to share the love away from us. That is society and community and culture. And so we need some new stuff. We don't want to be like it's 1999 anymore. It's time to move on. We need some healing and rejuvenation. And besides, our ancestors already proclaimed it. They're in the whirlwind. It's all up in the air and it's happening right now. And so this is basically an announcement and a way to shift things in our minds. And I'm so grateful that you're helping me to be able to do this, because I can't do it without you. What I'm doing, well, I can, but I can't. This is not a one-man band. We're all an array and all play our part like a giant symphony. So what you do adds to what I'm doing, and we need that for growth. For instance, how's my daughter going to meet a fabulous husband if somebody else isn't putting in the work to make a fabulous son, or doing the work to make a fabulous self within themselves? How can I be a fabulous friend? How can I meet one if I don't put in the work to be one? I can't give up on that if I want to meet it. If I say everybody's crap, that means that I'm just going to meet crap. I got to believe that I'm going to see myself. And so I did. And so I shall. And so I do. Much love to you and yours. Reflection. All is self. Be well. I'm out. I was just thinking this Thursday about some stuff I left out on Wandering Wednesday.